Well, here it is, folks. The Walt Disney Company just reported its first viewership numbers for the new show, The Acolyte, as part of Disney Star Wars and the Kathleen Kennedy-helmed Lucasfilm. Showrunner Leslie Headland's been working on this one for almost 4 years, and we're finally taking a look at what Disney is calling the biggest launch of Disney Plus in 2024. But of course, Disney seems to forget that I'm still out here and I'm going to tear these numbers apart as they should be, because this is typical Disney gaslighting, trying to protect the embarrassment of what is looking like a massive failure. Renegade Online. Well, folks, welcome back. Another great day here at Valiant Renegade. It's good to see everybody out there once again. And if you are like one of the many watching this video, not yet subscribed to this channel, please take a moment and turn that little red subscribe button to gray. Hit that like button, hit that notification bell, share this sucker out on the social medias, and of course, please do leave a comment before you head out the door today. Make sure to join us every Sunday and Wednesday afternoon at 6 p.m. Eastern right here for the live show. Here we go again. Disney is trying to pull a fast one, and even Deadline magazine itself had to call attention to the inconsistencies and wild variances in Disney's own reporting of their internal streaming data. But this one comes from Variety magazine, saying The Acolyte reaches 4.8 million views in one day, the biggest Disney Plus launch of 2024. The Acolyte, Disney Plus's newest Star Wars series, reached 4.8 million views in its first day of availability. This marks the streamer's biggest series premiere of 2024 thus far, according to Disney. An exact first-day viewership total isn't available for Ahsoka. Now, that was 2023, folks, the most recent Star Wars series, though Disney did report that it took 5 days for Ahsoka to reach 14 million views. That comes out to an average of 2.8 million viewers per day, 2 million below the launch of The Acolyte. Note that Disney is still calculating a view by dividing the number of hours each title is watched by its runtime. Now, I want to stipulate that Disney may come out and give a little bit more color on some of these numbers, but if it goes like it has in the past, what you read there is pretty much it. And there's a few key points that we need to really understand here. First of all, the views themselves. Remember, there were 2 episodes. So we're talking about total runtime between what? Just the first episode or both episodes? We don't know. They didn't stipulate and came up with a viewership total. The other part of the issue is that 4.8 million views does not stipulate from where or from what market that was derived. And when it comes to Disney Plus, if we go by what they've said in the past, when they report Disney Plus numbers for things like The Acolyte or for things like Ahsoka, they're talking about global views. They're talking about Disney Plus with its nearly 150 million subscriber reach around the globe. That means that basically less than, say, 3% of all Disney Plus subscribers tuned in that Tuesday night to watch The Acolyte. They don't stipulate US like we know when we read reports from places like Nielsen or even Samba TV, but it actually gets worse. Let's read that first sentence again. The Acolyte, Disney Plus's newest Star Wars series, reached 4.8 million views in its first day of availability. This marks the streamer's biggest series premiere of 2024 thus far, according to Disney. What other major competition has there been in terms of a series premiere on Disney Plus since January 1st of 2024? There's actually only one, and that was Echo. Now, sure, they had other things like X-Men 97, but we're talking about small potatoes kind of shows, or just shows that were very poorly received. So I don't know how beating these other animated series or very bad Marvel series that nobody watched, is this really something to tout that so far, with virtually nothing else out there on the platform to speak of in terms of premieres since the beginning of the year, that we're going to throw a party for this one, right? If you've been catching the live shows in the last week or so, you heard us talk about the Acolyte, but you've also heard us talk about what was absolutely going to destroy the Acolyte in just about a week and a half from, well, at least as the time I record this. And that's the season 2 premiere of House of the Dragon. Now, why do I bring up that one? Because House of the Dragon, much like the Acolyte, is a very large budget show, $200 million or so, in that range, at least insofar as what we know. But let's look at what the actual viewership looks like for a seriously big hit show. This from 2022, following the season or series premiere, I should say, of House of the Dragon, 10 million viewers. 10 million. Twice as much as what Disney is reporting, but it gets worse. The premiere of House of the Dragon drew 9.986 million viewers across linear, that's via cable, and HBO Max streaming platforms in the US Sunday night. Hold up. House of the Dragon turned in twice as much viewership as the Acolyte in that case, just in the US alone. The Acolyte's numbers, again, if Disney is reporting in any consistency whatsoever, they're giving us total Disney Plus views, and that's in the first 24 hours. 4.8 million views for the Acolyte globally in its first day, its first 24 hours or so on the platform, versus 10 million views for the series premiere of House of the Dragon within a couple of hours on Sunday night. Those numbers, however, are caveated, saying typically Sunday night viewership for an HBO series will represent just 20 to 40% of the show's total gross audience. And as we saw, that number of about 10 million expanded to 25 to 30 million for that premiere episode within the first week. And again, that was just in the US. And here, Disney is bragging about 4.8 million views in a similar time frame. Actually, I would say a significantly longer time frame, some 12 to 18 hours longer than would have been measured for House of the Dragon on a global scale. And typically what we see with most premieres, especially things on streaming services dedicated like this to Disney Plus, is that the bulk of their viewership is going to happen. At least their largest single day viewership is likely to happen within the first 24 to 48 hours. By the time we stretch it out over through Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, especially with the bad word of mouth and audience reaction this score is getting, which, by the way, kids, that audience score now at Rotten Tomatoes has officially fallen below 30% in the audience score. It's now at 29%. The critics have gotten this entirely wrong for reasons that seem pretty obvious. The show is based around representation, diversity, and inclusion, and that's really all that matters to them. But the audience has clearly picked up on the fact that this show is a complete dumpster fire. The writing is awful, the pacing is awful, the direction is awful, the performances are largely flat as a plank of wood, and frankly, the story itself is just boring. Don't believe me? Ask Rolling Stone and many other traditionally Disney-supportive left-wing publications. So I think this show, with that kind of word of mouth, is going to struggle to get up to where Ahsoka was at 14 million, again, global views in its first 6 days, or 5 days, whatever it may have been. It doesn't matter. It's really not that impressive, and it's not that impressive because of what Disney spends on this. Sure, 4.8 million global views for a $20 million documentary, or a $50 million show, or a $100 million show even might not be so bad. But a $200 million massive investment in production, and they've probably spent, I would bet, another $50 to $100 million of Disney Plus money promoting The Acolyte, and not to mention the fact that this is a Star Wars connected property, or at least a Disney Star Wars connected property. This 4.8 million global views in the first 24 hours is absolutely pathetic. Make sure you're subscribed to Valiant Renegade and join us every Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern for the live show.